Good morning, and welcome to the Boonafide Experience podcast. I'm your host, Kyle, but really, people just call me Boona. This is a business podcast with a hyper focus on esports and the creator economy. If you're not subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Doing so supports the channel and gets this content in front of people who need to see it. If you have a favorite part of the episode or have suggestions for future episodes, please let me know in the comment section below. I have some exciting new enhancements slated to be released in the beginning of May, so be sure you're following me on Twitter, which is @Boonafide Gaming, for the most recent updates. Thank you so much for being here, and let's go ahead and get started with the show. Good evening, Andy. How are you, man?
I'm doing fantastic. Kyle, what about yourself?
I'm doing really good, man. It's been a much better start to the day. To give some transparency, we went through a slew of technical issues. Between audio not recording, platforms not recording video, but I'm so grateful that Andy's a mindset coach because, I was able to like walk through that without feeling judged. So glad to be here. And I spilled the beans a little bit, man, but for those who do not know you and to gas up your current following, man, who are you, man? And what do you do?
So hi everyone, I'm Andy and I am currently living in Scotland and have my whole life, and I'm working towards becoming a mindset coach. I would like to help people take the first step in creating the life that they choose to do. I think a lot of us want to do and have options in our life, but many of us try and we get stopped at the first hurdle. We never try anything because we're feeling judged, fear of success, failure, everything that just blockades us in this fast moving world. And I would really like to help people take control of their life, finances, relationships, anything to help them take that first step and really move in the direction that they want to go.
Sick, man. I love that, dude. And for those, and again, for those who don't know you, how old are you, man?
I'm 22 currently, just turned 22 in January.
That is, I'll tell you, I was not doing anything. I had nothing remotely close to that mindset or motivation to even want to help people at that time of my life. So kudos to you, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. So I want to touch base at we met. We'll get into. I'm sure we'll get into our history a little bit here. But what why the switch? I know you started off in a different path. Like, why did you? What motivated you to start doing this?
Yeah. So I used to be a Twitch streamer and was really passionate about social media, helping people develop their social media in that way. And it got to a point where everything always came back to how many followers can you get? How many likes can you get on your thing? And for me, that was never the case. I didn't care about that because it didn't make an actual difference in my life. I understand people with millions of followers have more opportunity in the terms of sponsorships and all that sort of stuff. But does it really give you much more happiness in your life getting a few more likes in social media? And I always felt that even as much as I tried to help, the sort of understanding of not treating social media as just a numbers game, no one wanted to listen to that. No one wanted to hear that. People were too dead set on the world that we're currently living in, on followers matter, numbers matter. So I thought, what is my true passion? What do I really like to do within that area? And it was helping people understand that social media wasn't that. And then that's what sort of led me down the path of saying, well, maybe it's not social media at all that I'm loving to want to teach about and wanting to push forward with. It's living a life that you want to live, choosing that life that you want to do. And I decided to take a step back from Twitch. I no longer stream at the moment. I took a lot of step backs from certain social medias I was posting on, and I'm now currently working with incredibly professional people who have got a lot more experience than me, so I can hopefully learn from them and push forward with that. And that's how I sort of ended up here and where we are today.
That's awesome, man. And I'll tell you, I've been taking a break from Twitch too. I have some hesitancy about like fully announcing like a full break. I don't, because I don't really know, at least for me. But I'll tell you, that's from someone who we met through Twitch. We actually met through a friend group, through a bunch of great people that we're both still friends with today. And that's a big deal to like step away from Twitch.
Yeah.
It's a big deal because that's how we all start. That's how we all meet, and that's how we all connect. And it's like that's a huge step, man. Like tell me about like what that specific process was like. Was that a struggle for you?
Yeah, it was hard. I'd actually been thinking about it for a couple of months. I wasn't enjoying streaming as much anymore. it just didn't seem to click with me. I always felt that when I woke up on a day that I was streaming, I just didn't want to. I was like, oh, I've got to stream today. And it just wasn't good. But the problem was Twitch was where I started. Twitch was where it all started. So even thinking about leaving that behind was something in my head for a long time. It's like, no, that's a no-go. You started in Twitch. That's where you originated. That's where you got everything going with this. Don't quit. And the thing is as well, another thing that was stopping me was the sort of hold on the monetary input. I was earning a fair amount for me personally, and that was something I'd never seen before from a business that I was doing. So when I was thinking about that, I was thinking, can I even make money elsewhere? Can I actually build a sustainable business elsewhere? And eventually I said to myself, the only reason I am fearful of this is because A, I don't have all the answers to what I want to do next, and B, there's a sort of monetary line holding me up there at the moment. And at that point, I was learning a lot more about my own mindset and about myself, and I was reading a lot more. And I said, screw it, this is a fear that's stopping me from trying something new because I'm scared of what the future will hold. But I'm never going to get better. I'm never going to improve if I don't take this leap. And you actually use what I speak and put that out there and take action.
Yeah, I mean, and so what I picked up on and I'm really glad you touched on the monetary aspect because I'll be transparent. Like the level of monetary income for me wasn't that much, but at the same time, it's giving that up is a challenge. And I think that's and I can only imagine the shift, like the paradigm shift that had to take place, because there was two things that I heard. Is that you said you had to wake up and stream. Yeah. Like it's that simple thing that, and I really want to touch on that is like, if I got to stream or if I have to stream, that's already incorrect.
Yeah.
If it's not something that I wake up and want to do, why do I have to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's I'm sure you ask people that question as well, so kudos on you for that, because I know with me, it's still a constant challenge because the thought comes back in my mind again. Like, how do I still incorporate this? For me, I still view Twitch as a form of content that I want to produce on. I just don't see it right now.
Yeah. That's fine. That's the thing. It comes at different points, and maybe just for right now, it's not the thing for you.
Yeah. And so tell me about, like, after you took that leap of faith, there's always, what was the net that caught you?
Oh, that's a good question. What a great question that is. The net that caught me, I would say, was Hal Elrod. Now, he is the author of The Miracle Morning, and I had never really read books since I left high school. Didn't really like reading books at all. Never really did. The only books I'd read are the Harry Potter books. So I picked up The Miracle Morning after getting some recommendations from people in some YouTube videos that suggested it. And I thought, you know what? This book starts with saying that this is going to change your life, and this has changed people's life. And I was very skeptical. I was like, no, it's not. I'll give it a go, but I doubt it's
How many other books say that? How many other books say that?
All of them probably say that. So I was like, yeah, okay, right. I'll read it, and I'll read it twice, and I'll see how I feel and what I can pick up from it. I was never able to get up early in my life. I was horrible at it. My alarm became a part of my dream. And the alarm would literally play for about 20 minutes until my dad came storming in the room, really angry at me that the alarm was still going off early in the morning. So I tried so many times to build habits like that, to really build up. Yeah. And The Miracle Morning is a way to build habits and get things done before 8 a.m. And I have now been getting up consistently at 6 a.m. for the past 46 days, which is something I've never been able to do. So when I seen the power that educating myself done, taking action on that education done, and the mindset shift that you can have on purely the words that you tell yourself, that's when the net sort of sunk of saying, this is what you're meant to do. You are meant to do this. And I think that was the starting point of everything that came together.
That's so cool, man. That is a cool thing, because I recently, for the past 2 weeks, I have been challenging myself to get up, because normally I would get up at 7, which means I would get out of bed by 7:30. Because I do the snuggle thing with the dog. I gotta, like, But the past couple weeks, ever since really even giving up gaming for the past 2 weeks for me, like I have noticed that I actually want to wake up at 6 a.m.
Yes.
And now I haven't achieved the 6 a.m. consistently, but I have achieved before 7 a.m. for the past 2 weeks
That's
during
amazing.
the week. And I think that's a huge start for someone like me because we have some very similar, like what you touched on. I didn't read a book after the Two Towers for Lord of the Rings, and I read up to the fourth Harry Potter. And up to that point, I was the same way. Like exact same way. I didn't like reading. I wasn't really attuned to it. I always thought it was a waste of time. You know, I don't know if you can relate to that, but I always felt that when I was reading a book, like I felt like I should be doing something different. Like I felt like I was literally wasting time reading a book.
Me too.
And what a crappy mindset.
Yeah, right. I know. Like so bad.
Yeah, like because the last guests I had on here, his name was Edward Cleland, and he's a performance specialist for 100 Thieves. You know, he's a mindset coach and performance specialist. Brilliant guy. And in one of our offline chats, he's like, when you sit down after you read something in a book, do you learn something?
Yeah.
And I said yes. And he didn't really say anything after that. And I'm just like, okay,
go.
Okay. You got me on that. So you mentioned, that you had the net that caught you. You read the book. Yeah. Once you figured out that like this was like what you wanted to do. You mentioned getting in the room with a bunch of smarter people. What has that experience been like? What does Andy's like day-to-day look like when it comes to this like mindset coach, and like how did you start making these connections?
So I was approached by someone who had actually competed in the professional COD scene for many years back in the day, and he actually found me on Instagram through a hashtag. Sorry, on you go.
Isn't that something that once you find out what you want to do, people just start approaching you?
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that.
Continue on. I wanted to interrupt you
there. So he approached me, right, and he sent me an email, and he said he found me through a hashtag on Instagram, and it was Scottish entrepreneur. And it's a hashtag I put on most of my tweets because I've not really found many people from Scotland who are into the business sort of side of things and building their own business from the ground up. So I wanted to see if maybe anyone had done that as well. As I'd check the hashtag quite frequently and I'd see if there was anyone, I could maybe connect with. So he emailed me and he said he's been watching me for a few months and he's been figuring out who I am and what type of person I am. And he loved my content. And he wanted to introduce me to a sort of networking group of business people who are from the UK. Some are out with the UK, but most are from the UK and some are from Scotland as well. And I went to an event that he said, it was just a networking event. It was the first networking event he'd ever done. It's quite a new thing. And you had a sort of speed dating for introducing yourself. And when I got in there, the person who had connected with me first, John, who'd emailed me, made sure that I was in the room with people who he thought I would connect with the most on a great basis.
That's so cool.
I went in to all the rooms, and the first thing I said to everyone is, listen, I've never been to any of this before, but I'd love to hear about you. So I'd learn more about them, I'd learn what they do, and I'd write stuff about what they're doing. And after the networking event and after it all sort of happened and it finished, John messaged me after to say that everyone who was with me was sort of surprised because they've never had anyone who's came in for the first time and asked them about them rather than talk about themselves. And at that point, I found people who were in property investment, which I'm really interested in. I found people who were in the mindset coaching area, which I mean, that's the whole thing I want to do. And I also other coaches, other people who run their own businesses or CEOs do law within their own business in terms and conditions contracts. So when I found that group, I got meetings, one-to-one meetings with these other people and who do these things. And I cannot tell you the difference it makes, not only in your own mindset, but in your whole life, your whole perspective. For the longest time, I never thought there was many people out there who were interested in business and wanted to actually see you progress forward. Yeah. And then I get into this room with one-to-one people who are all asking you and really, really excited to learn more about you. How can I help you? How can I add value to your life? And you're just in awe because for Twitch, for me anyway, for me personally, and I don't know if you've felt this way as well, but all the time, you're constantly trying to give it your all. And there's always amazing things in return. You get to hear about people's life. You get to hear things about others. But I've never, ever had someone come to me and say, how can I add more value to your life? And I was just, it sort of dropped there. I was like, oh my God, this is the type of, this is what I want to be a part of.
Yeah. And I want to, for the audiences listening, I like this, everything that you said, this is a take of mine. Everything that you just said, this experience that you had, the way you connected with these people really wouldn't have been possible if you hadn't come in there with the mindset of like, I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
Like if you came in acting like you knew some shit, if you knew things, if you like this is how, like, if it was about you, then that whole story may not have ever happened.
Yeah. I'd probably be out. I probably wouldn't be there.
Right. I think it's incredibly important because like people, networking, it's such a word that has really been tarnished from the Twitch community.
Yes.
And I hate that it has such a negative like feeling towards it because I genuinely believe in it. And I just, it gets so misplaced along the way that you have to make everything about yourself in order for you to succeed. But it's the farthest thing from the truth. Like, it's like this like paradox that people, and including myself at a couple periods in my point, like I did in my life, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to not make it about me. How do you know? What do you mean it's not about me? Like, I'm trying to grow here. There obviously is a need for people like you, Andy, because and that's something that I feel for people who that comes off naturally it's my belief that the gift that comes to you naturally is your responsibility to teach other people. That to me, that's my take on that. Is it the thing that comes naturally easy to you? It doesn't come that way to everyone. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Like me, I'm good at relationship building. Me, I'm natural. Like I naturally can find common ground between me and a stick. That not everyone can do that. And so that's where I started. That was actually my take into podcasting. I'm like, that was same realization, man. Like, this is what I'm good at. The same thing when I would approach people for DMs, like to come on the show, it was never about how my channel could grow. It was never about fluffing them up. It was about, I want to hear your story.
Yeah.
I want to provide value to your audience. I want to grow, but it's like, and in turn, making that about them grew my audience, grew my respect. And it happened without me having to manage it.
I love that. That's the best way to do it. And you're so right. We're in such a place now where there's so many shiny objects. Everyone sees their flaws from someone else's strengths and they think, okay, maybe that could be my thing. When in reality, that's a flaw of yours. And yes, it's important to sort of, I always think it's important to work on some of your flaws that are important to your business and what you're moving forward with. But if you just focus on a few of your strengths, a few of them that really come naturally, that you're good at naturally, you will fly. You will be flying. The problem is we see that shiny object, we run for it, and then it doesn't work out, and we wonder why it doesn't. Right, which is a shame.
Like running after the shiny object for Twitch is the verification, partner, or the blue check on Instagram, or it's and even myself, like when I start getting caught up in the things, like I'll be honest with you, when I first started streaming, I put all of my investment. I invested so much in my setup because I thought that was going to make me a better content creator. You know what I mean? When in reality is I'm just a nerd who loves technology and was really scared to produce content. So I figured that would make me better, but it really didn't. So
it's sorry, on you go.
Yeah, man. So it's a fun journey to figure that out, and I'll tell you, I didn't figure that out overnight.
No.
And I think it's I want to hear your take on this, especially with what you do with your clients, because I keep asking myself, if I could go back and do anything different, would I? And it's always no. Always no. Like I would do nothing different. And what is do you believe in that question? And I'll tell you my reason, but I want to hear yours. Like, do you believe in that?
Yeah, I'm fully with you on this. I completely agree that I would never change anything because you wouldn't be in this position that you're in if it weren't for the mistakes and the downfalls and the wins that you had. You know, you would never be here. And the butterfly effect can obviously become so it's so complicated, you know, because even if you sniff at a certain time, that could change your whole paradigm, you know.
Right.
But when it comes to the bigger decisions, when it does come to the things you choose to do, the platforms you choose to work on, why you choose to work on certain content, why you chose to make certain decisions, they are all what make you who you are as a creator. And I would not be in this position right now if I did not make all the mistakes, all the choices, and all the things that I had done in the time of being that. So I'm grateful for them. Everything bad that happened, I'm so glad it did, because that's how we grow and that's how we become stronger.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get better by like no one became like a like a Hollywood actor overnight. No one became like a Grammy winning artist overnight. No one became well known. Like there's nothing that happens overnight. And like it's a we have technology that moves so fast these days, and it's so easy to get caught up in like my success can be fast tracked. And it really can't. I mean it can, but it won't last.
Yeah. It won't be sustainable. I think I don't know if it was Jeff Bezos that said, overnight success takes 10 years.
Yeah.
But whoever said it is spot on. No one has overnight, unless you win the lottery and you class that as monetary success, great. But think of the percentage of people who win the lottery and then go back to the same way they were living after a couple of years. It's overnight success and sustainability, which is the most important thing of the success and whatever we're calling it. Is the big thing here, which takes years to develop.
Yeah, I mean, and I've thought about that more than once. I've thought about like if I blew up tomorrow on Twitch, like when I was streaming, or if I blew up in podcasting tomorrow, if I blew up in whatever, I would be so unprepared for the level of work that it would take when someone blows up, right? Because I haven't been through the growth period. I haven't been through what I need to. I haven't learned any sort of lessons, like because I'll tell you, if I had a chat with 10,000 people in chat, I would just shut the stream off. Like I wouldn't know what to do. I would have no idea how to handle that. And so I think it's the same concept with the lottery. Is like many people that win the lottery go broke, because they didn't know how to manage their money before, and they don't know how to manage their money now. Exactly. And so just because they have $10 million doesn't mean they know how to manage their money.
Yep. You're spot on. It's that growth period of being extremely uncomfortable. But there comes a point where too much growth becomes far too uncomfortable and you actually cannot sustain that. And that is where some people crumble, and that's why leveling up, you consistently level up your ladder, you're climbing that ladder. Sometimes you're going to fall back down and that's okay. But as you slowly climb, you learn more, you gain more experience, you understand how to make your systems and your processes flow. And that's what allows you to be at the stage where something does change, you're ready for it. You already knew it was coming because you've put the work in, you've put the effort, the dedication, and you're there. You're ready for it.
Exactly, man. I want to switch gears a little bit, man, and talk about the kind of like the daily work that you do. When it comes to, I want to ask a little about your client base. What type of clients do you work with? What's the predominant industry? Who do you mainly work with?
Yeah, so this has been in the works for the past couple of months because I've got a business coach now, and I'm working with a few people who are trying to help me understand my whole processes better. So finding the right client for me is taking time, but
Gotcha.
I believe I have narrowed it down to a certain area, which I'm really, really happy with. And what my sort of thought process came to it was, I don't want someone who has just started their business. I want someone who's taken some leaps, taken some chances, become quite uncomfortable, and has failed at some of them, because that allows you to see, they've got grit. They know that they're not going to get the success like that, but they're ready to make that change. So my target right now is sort of entrepreneurs looking to really take the leap up in their systems, processes, and habits to move forward consistently with their business and not be afraid of taking jumps consistently to be outside that comfort zone. So that's the sort of area I'm targeting right now. And I wouldn't say I have an age demographic for that sort of thing, because I have had people who are in their 50s approach me for help. And I've had people who are 18, 19, 20 approach me as well. I've not worked with not enough clients just yet to understand where my age demographic fits perfectly, but I would say that's where my sort of what would be the word for it, sort of preferred client would be in that region. Someone who's already shown that they've got the grit to make this work. They're willing to put in that work. And I just want to help them make systems, processes, and habits that give them sustainability for the long term. So they consistently work on that and take those leaps to get them to where they want to go.
Exactly. What I gathered from that is you want to work with someone who's going to work with you. Like your job is not to chase people. Your job is not to your job isn't to like chase people down and to want their success for them. I mean, so I really respect like what you do there, because like that ensures that, you're not wasting your time. You're not wasting their time, and vice versa. Yeah.
Exactly. You give people the tools, but you're not the one reliable for their success. Right. They have to do the work, and to think, for a lot of people do that, a lot of people put their whole heart and soul into it and think that their success is also your success, but it's not. Right. You're just helping them understand how to make the process easier and actually happier for them, rather than tearing their head out, and allow them to make their own. And if they choose not to do that, that's not on you. You're giving them the best work that you possibly can, the highest possible quality that you can, but it's not your job to make them successful.
I'll tell you, I was a business coach for people for the past 2.5 years at my day job. Right. I was an actual business coach that helped customers. They would, because you file your business, then it's like what now? Yeah, I was the guy that helped them through the what now phase. So ground level. Like some people had it, some people didn't. But the people that did have it, there goes my dog. The people that did have it, I was always willing to make more time for them. Yeah. I was always willing to give them a little bit extra than what they paid for. Because I don't care if you're emotional towards me, but the fact that you listened and you tried something, whether it was exactly what I gave you, or it was a version of what I gave you, or if what I gave you inspired you to do something completely different, I could respect that, I would respect that. And but there was a lot of people, and it goes to show why most businesses aren't successful, is because, if you can't even, get your compliance right, if you can't even do a little bit more research upon the tools I gave you, if you can't and I would tell people that, one joke I made, an analogy, or one joke I made with people, and I had to be careful with who I said this to, because I do this for a living. I get paid, not by me. Right. But I said, if you want me to run your business, I can draft up an operating agreement and change the documents where I'm 10% owner in your company. We can do that. And it kind of just like, it kind of just snapped him back. And they're like, oh, I'm the business owner. I need to do this. It's not his job to run my business. As I said, bro, I can do it, and it can be done tomorrow. I can do that, and let's get it, man. It is. But
that's amazing. That is incredible. I love that.
I had to be I had to be thoughtful of
just in case
who I said to that, because my bonus was tied on renewals, and so okay. You know what I mean? So I had to be I had to be though, about who I said it to. But I love that, man. With your company now, you manage quite a bit of things. You're going to university, you're going to school, you're living at home. What is like the typical, I want to give some people some insight in who like, what does the day in the life of a business coach look like? What is it like? How does Andy organize his life?
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I like that. So I guess I'll just take you through what my tomorrow's going to look like then. Yeah, man. The interesting thing is, what I'll always say to people is that your tomorrow starts with the evening of the night before. People don't realize the power of preparation. And the night before, I do my usual things. I'll do my nightly routine, but I will set my priority list the night before on this notepad of 2 things maximum that need to be done that will make my day successful, and then a few other things here and there, like if I need to answer an email when I've got to do that later on, then I'll have that on there so I remember. But setting up your night before is probably one of the most critical things that you can do, because for me in the morning, when I get up at 6, I don't want to get up. No one does. I don't think anyone instantly wakes up and thinks, yes, it's ready, time to go. You do have that little bit of a process. So I have that ready. I have everything laid out, my books, my diary, everything that needs to be done. My clothes are laid out for the morning, so I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I get up and I have that routine ready. And at the start, my first hour of the day is solely based for me. That's all it is. It's not based for my phone. It's not based for social media. It's not based for my computer. It's for me. So I do meditation, my diary, my reading, my learning exercises with the reading, exercise, affirmations, that sort of stuff. So that is the miracle morning and a basis for what it is. And I spend usually my first hour doing that sort of stuff. After that, I will do about 25 to 30 minutes of work on the first main priority. So right now, it's actually my uni work because I have quite a lot of reports and I want to get them done extremely early so that I have more time to focus on my business. So I do 25 to 30 minutes of those, and that's through a trial and test period that I've done for quite a while to see what works best for me. And I found that if I do that, I get my work started and into my work brain, and then I can go and get my breakfast because I'm quite hungry by that point. I've already been up for like an hour and a half. So I'm already quite hungry by that point because I've not had anything. So at that point, I'll go downstairs, I'll get my breakfast, I'll come back up, and then that's when I'll sort of start on getting to my work. And my aim is to get everything done that needs to be done that will make my day successful in my eyes by 11 o'clock. And
real quick,
on you go.
What is your version of success?
2 things at the moment. 1, getting uni work done. And then 2, working on the progression of my signature course for coaching. That's the 2 areas at the moment that are my main focus. So once I come back up, that's when I get started on those things. The uni one is the first one at the moment. I know that obviously my business is more important, but uni, you still have to pass if you want to go into the next year. So I do want to make sure that I'm doing my best. I would like to do that. So I'm putting uni at the first time. And usually until about 11, I will work fully on those 2, depending on how far I get. I'll continue that until about 12, which will be my lunch. I'll go and get my lunch. I'll take a little bit of break for myself. And after that, that's when I start to get into the things that are less priority, because you've been up for a little while now. You've been up since 6. So you've done the most important work. Your day is a success in your eyes if you've managed to actually crush those goals that you're wanting to do. If not, I'll continue to work on them. And if I have, that's when I get into the things like social media content. I will be creating maybe some content that I'm going to put on my Instagram. I'll be writing scripts for my podcast. I'll be writing scripts for YouTube videos that I want to do, some B-roll shots that I may want to get, some photos that I want to do. And that's where the sort of enjoyment of the content comes in, because if you can start your morning before 11 a.m. on a whole level of success, the whole other day just comes easy to you, because you're doing things that you enjoy. You're doing things that are still going to push you forward, still take a little bit of energy, but you've got the things that are actually going to take you to your success in the future. And then later on, I try to take time for myself always. 10,000 steps is my goal each day. So I'll always go to the gym. I've actually got a home gym outside now in my garage. It's just a bench and a bar, but it's amazing. And then I'll go my walk. I'll get that done. I'll get my 10,000 steps in while listening to a book. So I'm keeping up with my education and enjoying when I'm out. And then after that, it's just a little bit of a cycle of, okay, what needs to be done? What are some things that can maybe get me to where I want to go? Can I message some people, ask how they're doing, ask how I can add value to them, and then sort of work on the progression from there. And I actually want to get all my work done by like 4 o'clock and then leave the rest of the day for me. I choose to do what I want. I'll go out and enjoy the things I want to do. And I know it was a little bit of a longer overview of what my day is going to look like, but that's a sort of in-depth of what my tomorrow will probably look like.
No, and I appreciate you going into that. And so the people that are listening, if you need to rewind that a couple times, do so, because like that, and the important thing that I've learned is that, the people that I look up to and the people that I value and the people that, have similar interests, a lot of times, and it took me a while to figure this out, but I would try to copy and paste exactly what that was. Yeah. But what I failed to realize was that my schedule is different. Yep. Like my goals are different. There's elements though that, that if you're listening, I want you to take from that, and so if you need to rewind it, and it's like instead of saying I need to do exactly what Andy does, it's like, ask the question of how does this apply to me? Yeah. How does this apply to me and what I'm doing? Does this match up? Do I need to do it exactly? Probably not. But I think that's an extremely important, point that I wanted to touch on. after 4 o'clock, let's
Uh,
get into it. Let's get into a little bit more some outside of business, man.
Yeah.
What does Andy do for fun?
I am a very big sports guy. Not in the terms of watching sports. I actually don't enjoy watching sports as much as I thought as I used to. I love playing sports. I've played football my whole life. I've captained my teams to win leagues and national tournaments, but I just always want to be active. So I like to play golf, which I've been doing a lot more. I've got a golf course quite close to me. And I play football as well, which has just come back for non-contact football. Thank you for us slowly getting out of this COVID period, which I'm able to get back because I've played football my whole life. And I really like to go walks now. I never used to go walks. I used to hate walks. I was thinking, if I can go a walk, then I'll just go a run, until I'd done some research that was actually backed by data on why walking is incredibly powerful for you, and allowed me to listen to my books or listen to music, whatever I was feeling that day. And it's also something that I really like to do, actually, is go and visit my grandparents more during that time off. Something I didn't do enough. I was always caught up in my business, caught up in my uni work, caught up on, I'll do the work and I'll do it later. I'll go and see them later, but we may not have later,
Right.
So I always said to myself, every week that I'm going out, if there's a day that I can, just walk to your grandparents, go see them for an hour, because the face that they have when they see you just, it makes your day. It really, really makes your day. And that's what's sort of my life at the moment anyway, outside of the 4 p.m. mark, or before that, if I finish early and I want to take more time for myself, sort of looks like. I would like it to be a little bit different once COVID is over. I'd like to go to get food with my friends. I'd like to go out with some other people and try different sports. I'd love to go and do like snowboarding and that again to just try different things. But right now, we can't really do that. I mean, we're not meant to go out with our council, so you're kind of limited to what you do.
Yeah, I mean, you're speaking my love language, man. Snowboarding was something that I did. I was privileged to be able to go ski or go snowboarding once a year with my family. And so we would go to different. We mainly would go to play in the United States. We'd go to Utah, and it was just that is where I felt at home. And I lived in Colorado for a couple of years, to where, man, like that. There is, for me, like, I feel like that's one of my hobbies outside of gaming, outside of building a business, outside of doing that. But it's just like, I live in Texas, you know what I mean? And it's like, we don't have mountains here. We don't have mountains here, and that's a problem, but I like that, man, because I feel that there's this mindset of, and I think talking to you would really help explain some. There's like an always on mindset. There was like this, like, always, like, grind 24/7 mindset. Yeah. There's this, like, and I see for some people that it actually works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I really, what is your, I really want to get inside, like, I really want to hear your take on that, and like why that works for some people and why it doesn't. It doesn't work for others.
Brilliant question, by the way. Amazing question. And I was that other person before. I was the grind 24/7, always on. Yeah. That was what I'd experienced. That's what I'd seen. That's what I'd learned from. And I hadn't really had much experience in the other places. So that was my thought process, work hard, grind every day for a long period of time, and you'll get to where you want to go. And it wasn't until I really started to educate myself further, which I saw something that changed the whole thing for me. The people you look up to, the people you follow day in and day out and want to become, does their lifestyle match up with who you want to become? Does their lifestyle match the lifestyle that you desire? And what I found was some of the people I was following, their lifestyle was the always on lifestyle. 18-hour work days, grinding constantly, making millions of dollars, pounds, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I said to myself, what do you actually want? What does your lifestyle look like? And for me, the lifestyle for me is financial freedom and having options to choose and do what I want when I want, whilst also helping people, become the best versions of themselves.
Sure.
That is the business. And that is freedom to me. That is the lifestyle I want to live. Now, the reason I believe it works for some people is because they have that mindset of, when I continuously work hard and progress towards it for long periods of time, people will see the dedication to achieving that. And that's incredible because it works. Some people can put in the hustle. Gary Vaynerchuk would probably be a great example of the hustle culture. he has is an amazing example of what he does. VaynerMedia, it's a multi-million-dollar company now, and he's expanding to other areas. Vayner Gaming has came out recently as well, so there is massive hype for that, and it just goes to show the dedication that he put in to achieve that can end in results. But for me, that wasn't the lifestyle I wanted. And I always thought it was. And I think more people need to ask that question. What lifestyle is my favorable lifestyle? And in Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, he talks about one of the questions in one of the chapters, and it said, if you had £100 million in your bank account right now, what would your day-to-day look like? You have everything that most people want, which is money, and status is obviously a very big thing as well. People want status in their life, but money obviously does come a lot of part of it. There's a lot of people who say, if I have all the money, then all my problems will go away. Now, money does solve problems. I completely understand that. It does, but it isn't everything. So if you have all those problems solved, what does your life look like? What does your day-to-day look like? Is it the same as what you're working towards right now? Is that actually similar to working 16-hour days? If you have all the money you want in the world? And when I read that question, it never matched up. I didn't want that. I wanted freedom. I wanted choice. I wanted to work for me when I wanted and when I chose to, and allowed me to take breaks when I needed without everything crumbling. Right. So it works for some people because they've got that in their mind that that's the case and that's how it's meant to be and that's how business works. And I do believe that's a little bit of an old school method, but it still works perfectly fine. For some people it works great. I would just like to give people the opportunity to think a little bit differently for themselves and ask, what do I actually want my lifestyle to be like if I have everything I ever need? What does my day-to-day look like? What am I really going to do in my day-to-day once I reach the goal that I have for myself? If I reach £100,000 in my bank, what do I want my lifestyle to be? Do I want to just continuously increase that number? Or do I want to relax and allow things to just slow down, go play more golf, go travel more, go spend more time with family? Why can't we do that now? Why can't we give time for that? We might not have that chance. So that was what changed for me from being the grind non-stop, always on, to I'm choosing the lifestyle I want to live, not what other people do. And that was a big changing moment for me.
I love that, man, because Gary's someone that I've been following for years, and I love his recent kind of shift in voice. Because he's even like blatantly, he's like, I realized that the culture that I drove may not be for everybody, know, but that same happiness that you and I both felt like when we both kind of took that leap of faith, it's like that's like the 15-hour day is his happiness.
Yeah.
That's like what, like that. And I think that's a really hard thing to like, to like split, to decipher, but one thing that I've one of the memes of his that really made me chuckle and it really put things into perspective. That meme where it's like, there's a highway and then there's a car like drifting over to the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there's like a straight way and then there's the car. And then it's like, the meme is like, so his thing was, making, $500,000 a year at a job you hate. And then the car drifting was make $80,000 a year talking about peanut butter. You know what I mean? It was one of my favorite memes because it was just, it encapsulated everything that he stands for. It was the most perfect image about what he was trying to say. And that really, really stuck for me. I'm just like, what if I woke up and did everything I wanted to do, would I be comfortable making between 80 and like 150 grand a year, in a podcast talking about peanut butter, for, what's my peanut butter? You know what I mean?
But no, I get that.
The fact that it's a reality is incredible. And I think that's really what, I was driving at and helping to drive that conversation towards, is that not everyone wants to be a millionaire. And I think for me personally, where I relate to Gary the most, I relate to him on a lot of things, but where I relate to him the most is the legacy. It's the legacy. And that's like, I am obsessed. One thing I noticed, and now my mind, I have, I'm working through a lot of the shame and the guilt and the, a lot of some of the things that traumatic experiences that I had, but I'm very, very cognizant of like taking steps because of how people will view me. And it's a delicate balance of like, is it preventing me from taking action, or am I genuinely being thoughtful about taking the action? It's just there's things that I'm working through. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no, I get that.
so because that to me is the most important thing.
Mhm.
Is when I pass. I actually asked this question, like, if you pass tomorrow, what would you want to achieve?
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think it's a brilliant question, because I just want people to like see what I like. I just remember me for what I did, and like produce
Yeah.
that feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. I like that.
Yeah, man. So I wanna start wrapping things up, man.
Uh-huh.
With this business coaching job, it is there like a big like goal in the future that you're just reverse engineering to get?
Yes, there is
What is
actually.
that?
I would really like to have a company that goes around the world and helps motivate people to not be scared of taking that first step. I want to do sort of motivational business talks around the world, um, showing people that they don't need to follow the normal path if it's not for them, and that fear of jumping is not as scary as they think if they have someone to maybe help hold their hand just for a little bit as they jump and then allow them to fly, that sort of thing. So that's the I really, really want to do that. That's the goal in mind that I have.
I'll tell you, man, you're not too far off from that, because I'll tell you, when you take some elements of your when you switch to just chatting streams on Twitch,
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's when you blew up, like on Twitch. Like, because I remember tuning in on my lunch break and just like, seeing the amount of love that came from that, and the amount
Uh-huh.
of motivation, the amount of positivity. So I think there's some really this is just my take on you. Like, man, there's some really good things to take from that. Man, go watch some of your VODs, dude, because I don't think you're that far away from that. I don't think you're that far away from that. I'll be honest with
it's
you.
it's exciting. It's exciting. I'm really hoping to do that. And
Yeah.
what I would love to do is get other people on as well. Get other
Yeah.
people doing it in different places in the world and allowing them to share their stories to show that leap, that jump isn't. It doesn't have to be something that always came to the back of my mind. Is these people are successful because they are extraordinary.
Mhm.
In reality, they're all ordinary people. They've just consistently worked at what they've done and weren't afraid to take some leaps here and there to get to where they want to go. And that put it in my brain, you don't have to be special. You just have to consistently work at something and not be afraid of those failures, of those successes, not be afraid of what's to come, because there's going to be downfalls, but that's all a part of it.
I love that, man. That actually raised the hair on my arms, man. That because I'll tell you why. Like, I always looked for that, like, one thing that like made me extraordinary. Like, because I would see people were naturally good at sports, or they were naturally good at this, and I'm like, I have to work so hard to even get respectable to those things. But I just think it's a brilliant thing, man. It's like, you don't have to be naturally gifted in those like popular areas to really make something of yourself.
No, you're right. It's hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. That's
right.
Was it 50 Cent? I think it was in his documentary.
Yeah, man. Exactly,
incredible
dude.
quote, and it speaks wonders of why people are successful and why people aren't.
It really does. It's really that simple. So Andy, where can people? It's been a pleasure, man. Where can people find you? Where are you the most active? Where do you want people to go to start viewing your content?
So if you're looking for just day-to-day normal stuff about what I do and how I can maybe help in any way, Instagram is probably the best place to do it. It's Andrew Ellis with 3 underscores because I couldn't get any other name.
You will eventually.
And then if you're looking for longer form content, the YouTube channel will probably be the best place to get that. Or if you're into podcasts like Kyle, I do have one of my own, which I'm very excited to have as a guest coming soon on the podcast. That's the Power of Positivity podcast, and Andrew Ellis YT for the YouTube channel if anyone would like to check the longer form content out. But Kyle, just thank you so much for having me on. I've had an absolute blast getting to know you more and being on the podcast. So thank you, seriously.
Yeah, dude, this was I remember thinking, like, this has been a long time coming. Like, this is this has been a long time coming, man. And it's I love. I mean, the pleasure's all mine, man. It's I knew even through our technical issues yesterday, we were on a roll. Like, we were on a roll, man, and it cut off like right at a really important moment. And I'll tell you, man, it just devastated me, man. But I think that just goes to show the power. Like, we've been connected since day one, man. I think we're gonna do amazing things together. So,
Yeah, I'm excited.
dude, we're gonna go ahead and sign off, man. I'll go ahead and put all
Love it.
your links in the description below. I'll blast out for people to find you, man. And man, I wish you a good evening.
I do too. I hope you have an incredible day.
Thanks, man. Peace.